All right, let's jump right into today's explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating yet completely overlooked connection in our modern lives. Have you ever noticed how the hidden costs of the clothes we wear and the media we watch are actually deeply intertwined? Both are completely engineered for speed, both push massive volume onto us, and both carry these invisible, incredibly steep price tags. So let's unpack exactly how that works and, more importantly, what we can do about it.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the age of overconsumption, look at fast fashion's toxic cost, explore the screen time parallel, learn how to transform passive to active viewing, and then wrap up with a guide to mindful habits. Let's get to it. Section 1, the age of overconsumption, engineering our habits. We didn't just accidentally stumble into this modern era of buying and watching constantly. It was meticulously engineered. This entire culture of constant replacement actually dates way back to a 1932 book called Consumer Engineering. That book laid the groundwork for something called artificial obsolescence. The whole goal was to make consumers feel like their perfectly good items were outdated simply because they weren't the absolute newest style. And today, that exact same psychology has been scaled up massively. It's created this culture where wearing the same outfit twice is somehow inexplicably viewed as shameful. And if you look at the mechanics behind this, it's actually deeply biological. According to Stanford psychiatrist Anna Lemke, both cheap, rapid-fire shopping and endless internet scrolling activate the exact same dopamine reward pathways in our brains as gambling or drugs. Fast fashion hooks us with dirt cheap prices, rapid microseasons, and influencer hauls. And digital media, it uses the exact same playbook. Think endless scrolling, auto-playing videos, infinite algorithmic feeds. It is literally the same mechanism, just delivered through a different medium.
Moving on to Section 2, fast fashion's toxic cost, the physical toll of trends. This ultra-fast model was really pioneered by brands like Zara and then hyper-accelerated by the algorithms at companies like Shein, leading to a genuinely absurd scale of production. The magic number to keep in mind here is 14. Because of this fast fashion model, up to 150 billion garments are manufactured every single year. That equates to 14 brand new pieces of clothing for every single person on Earth every year. The supply is so massive right now that the clothes currently sitting on the planet could clothe the next 6 generations.
And behind the scenes, the resource drain is just staggering. It takes 7,500 liters of water to manufacture just one pair of jeans. To put that into perspective, that's enough drinking water to sustain one human being for 7 entire years. We are quite literally draining crucial resources just to fuel this artificial obsolescence. But it actually gets scarier at the microscopic level. 6 million. That is the number of microplastics that a single wash of synthetic clothing can release into the water supply. These tiny plastic fibers completely bypass water treatment plants, they flow right into our oceans, and ultimately into us. Scientists have now found these microplastics in human blood, in lungs, and even in the placentas of unborn babies. The root of this whole microplastic crisis is the material itself. 60% of the materials used to make our clothes today, things like polyester, nylon, and acrylic, they're essentially just forms of plastic, which means when these clothes inevitably get discarded and end up in places like the Atacama Desert in Chile or the massive Cantamanta market in Ghana, they don't break down. They just sit there in the environment for hundreds of years. When you tally it all up, the carbon footprint is honestly staggering. The fashion industry alone is responsible for 8 to 10% of global carbon emissions. That wildly surpasses the emissions from all international flights and maritime shipping combined. It's a massive physical toll, and it's all driven by our manufactured desire for endless rapid consumption. Which brings us to Section 3, the screen time parallel, the cognitive toll of endless content. So let's pivot from the physical mountains of cheap clothes to the overwhelming avalanche of cheap digital content. Just look at the volume we're dealing with. 500 hours of video are uploaded to YouTube every single minute. The sheer amount of media our children are exposed to is completely unprecedented. And just like with fast fashion, navigating this requires us to be super mindful consumers, filtering out that low-quality filler. This brings us to a really vital insight from instructional supervisor Amir Taran Ayers over at Edutopia, who notes, videos are resources, not activities, and certainly not lessons. Think about a typical scenario in a classroom or a living room. A tired teacher or parent might just press play on a 45-minute documentary. But because long passive viewing isn't actually engaging, kids end up zoning out, they get bored, or they just talk right over it. What we're basically dealing with here is fast fashion for the brain.
Passive viewing relies on mere compliance. Sure, it's the easy route, but it yields really poor cognitive outcomes. Active viewing, on the other hand, is highly intentional. It involves chunking media into manageable pieces, giving the viewer a clear mission before they watch, and really analyzing the content. That active curation yields significantly healthier cognitive outcomes for learners. So, Section 4, transforming passive to active, reclaiming our attention.
How do we actually fix this? Well, here are the actionable steps educators on Edutopia use to reclaim attention. Step 1. Chunk the video into clips that are no longer than 5 minutes. Step 2. Never just press play. Always give a why or a mission so the viewer knows exactly what they're looking for. And Step 3. Pause frequently for stop and jot or turn and talk discussions. This framework totally transforms a student from a passive viewer into an active participant.
The ultimate rule of thumb here? Teach the video like a text. Just as you wouldn't hand a student a dense, complex written document without previewing it and giving them some context, we have to treat video exactly the same way. Preview the clips, turn on those closed captions to aid literacy, and actively debate the ideas. The video is just the resource. The actual learning happens in the discussion. Finally, Section 5, a guide to mindful habits, curating the physical and digital worlds. Let's bring these two worlds together with some real intentionality. First, for the digital side of things, here's a great little cheat sheet for parents based on research from ID Tech and PBS Kids. For toddlers, channels like PBS Kids use research-backed, slow pacing to encourage literacy. For older kids, SciShow promotes STEM skills. And for teens, Crash Course breaks down really complex subjects. The overarching goal here is to prioritize interactive learning over whatever passive content an algorithm tries to autoplay next.
And for the physical world, we can totally revamp our wardrobe habits with a few simple rules. First up, adopt the 30 wear test. Before you buy something, ask yourself if you will truly wear it 30 times. Second, let's actively normalize outfit repeating. It should be celebrated as sustainable, not shamed. Third, repair your clothes instead of just tossing them. And finally, wash your clothes only when truly necessary to cut down on releasing those microplastics.
To wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. Whether you're browsing a fast fashion app or staring at an endless video feed, before you click buy or play, take a second and ask yourself, what is this really costing? Because active mindful consumption isn't just about saving a few bucks, it is the absolute key to protecting both our environment and our minds. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I challenge you to take these active habits into your week.